Alright, this video is to provide you with an overview of kind of what solving a system of equations is. And the first and kind of foremost way we learn to solve a system is by graphing. Now this video kind of assumes that we've learned slope-intercept form and we know how to graph the equations of lines. So over here at the left we have two different equations, y equals -3 and y equals 1/2 x minus 1. To solve a system by graphing, our goal is to find the point of intersection of the two lines, where the two lines cross. That point, being a point on both lines, is the only point that would make both equations true. It's the only point that's going to satisfy the system. So if we take a good look at it here, to graph y equals -3, remember that a y equals -3 line is going to be a horizontal line. So we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, so y equals -3, and then we're going to draw a horizontal line, reasonably straight there, at y equals -3. Then we're also going to graph 1/2 x minus 1, which remember -1 is our y-intercept, or if I plugged in x was 0, we would get back, well, 1/2 times 0 is 0, minus 1 is -1, which just gives us somewhere to start. So we can graph that line, 0, -1. And then the 1/2 essentially is our slope. As x goes up by 1, we go up by 1/2, or essentially vertical rise of 1 makes a run of 2. We can graph that line. So I'm going to continue to graph points up 1 and right 2, up 1 and right 2, or down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2. And now we can easily see where our two equations come together. That point, which if we look at it on our graph here, is -1, 2, 3, 4. And going downwards, of course, we're down at -3 on that red line. That point of -4, -3 is the solution to our system. And again, if we plug that point back into our two equations, obviously y equals -3, so -3 equals -3, it works in the first equation, as well as -4 times 1/2 would be -2. And -2 minus 1 is -3. It also satisfies the second equation. Right? -4 would give us back a y value of -3. So again, that's the solution to a system. Now, the equations over here at the right are in standard form. So we have a couple of options on how to graph those. Probably the best is try to turn them into equations like we did at the left here, where we graph that blue line. Equations are in y equals mx plus b, or slope-intercept form. So that second equation, notice, is almost solved for y already. Having that y all by itself with a coefficient of 1 would be easy enough if we just add x to the other side of the equation. So -x plus x is going to disappear, and y equals -3 plus x, or x minus 3. And again, that gives us the opportunity to go down to -3 with a slope of 1 and graph our line. So we're going to draw as straight a line as we can on our graph. Again, assuming we're counting by ones on our graph. Then we'll go back to our second equation. Now this one's going to take a little bit more work, but again, I'd like to get that x off of the same side as the y. So I'm going to subtract 3x. So I'm going to say 2y equals, I'm going to subtract that 3x over to the right, making it disappear from the left. And again, we've also got a -1, -3x plus the -1 over there on the right. Then we need to divide by that 2. We need to get y totally by itself. So we're going to say -3/2 x minus 1/2. Now, starting at a -1/2 is going to be a little bit tricky, a little bit difficult. It's a little harder to graph that way. So in that case, one option is, rather than using the y-intercept, let's start at a different coordinate. If I think about xy coordinates, remember there are lots of places on my line that I can begin. Even on this green line, we could have started at x was 1 here, or x was 2, or x was 3. There's lots of places we could begin. Well, again, if I start at 0 on here, negative 3/2 times 0 is 0, minus 1/2 is not the easiest point to plot on my graph. So how about we start at 1 instead? Or possibly 2 or 3. We could really start wherever we wanted. If I plug in 1, negative 3/2 minus another half is technically negative 4/2, which would be negative 2. And that gives us a much easier point to plot. So 1, negative 2, which actually falls right on the green line, which is also very helpful, would be a great place to begin. Then I can use my slope of negative 3 over 2. So I'm going to go down 3, right 2. Or I can technically go up 3, left 2. And I can plot that line. So again, I'm going to try to draw as straight a line as I can. Lucky for me, I already knew where that point was. So therefore, at 1, negative 2, we appear to get that point of intersection. And again, we could take that xy coordinate, we can plug them back into our two equations. Always good to verify that you're getting the right answers. You can do that via the calculator or by hand. But again, always check your answer. Hope that helps understand how to solve a system by graphing. If you have any other questions, make sure you talk to your math teacher. Otherwise, good luck. And as always, have fun.